Greetings, I'm Solidus Skully, and welcome back to the Kingdom of Hearts Birth by Going to Bed. Before we press onwards to new adventure, we also have a little exclusive thing for both Aqua and Terra, now that I think about it. Yes, indeedy, we can return to the land of departure. And, unlike the other time where we could return as Aventus, the salad days, it's all fixed, and unfortunately they only have one time of day, which is the middle of the night. So yeah, the only real things you really have to do here is basically just get some treasure chests and just sort of have a bit of a wander about, buy some new abilities as I'm pretty much showcasing right here, and of course showing off some of the stuff I got by grinding. As you can tell, I'm continuing the theme of sexuality with Leaky Dyke, which is pretty much an extension of Aqua's little magic volley, and of course menstrual pain. I'm going to be showing off Leaky Dyke first, and then menstrual pain, which is of the green sphere of abilities, which is pretty much just adding an additional attack to your finishes, so yeah, we'll be seeing all that in due time, but in the meantime though, collecting treasure chests, practicing up a little bit more. You can't go inside the castle of the Land of Departure because, as you probably saw beforehand, Aqua pretty much goes, "It's not time to report back to Master." But don't worry, we can still get a bit of practice with Leaky Dyke. Just have a little bit of a wander around, enjoy the sights of the Land of Departure before it fell to the ultimate oblivion. But yeah, I mean, apart from, like, a musical change and the fact that it's not really, dismal and, depressing as we'd see it later on, yeah, it's just a little stopgap that I figured I might as well show off. And I mean, I will say though, like, I mean, even with as robust as the PSP/PS2-esque looking graphics might depict, this place is very artistically sound, so, like, I mean, credit to the Kingdom Hearts art design team and, the in-engine graphical team. They did a pretty standout job in making these games look about as crisp as they needed to be throughout the years. But anyway, that's enough waffling on for the time being. It's time for us to return to the Dwarf Woodlands, where no doubt there are many wonderful adventures to go. And I guess, since I might as well bring it up now, yeah, in terms of story chronology, Aqua is pretty much the last person who visits, she's pretty much the last person to visit a majority of those worlds, really. And this is also true in the case of Snow White, as I pretty much have a wordless scene of, evil hag woman hobgoblin thing giving Snow White an apple, and she pretty much takes a bite out of it. A bit of a change up from the original story, actually, but, you know what, I figured I might as well save anything that I do have to say about the original Snow White tale for by the time we visit it as Terra, because I feel like any sort of tangents I might possibly have to expunge will have been expunged both in Ventus' story and of course here, so yeah, not really too much to say. Anyway, now Snow White is seemingly dead. Oh no. But anyway, here's a dramatic cutscene. Enjoy.
What has happened here?
Poor Snow White. She was just as sweet as could be.
She sang us pretty songs.
And made us smile.
At bedtime, she told wonderful stories. About falling in love with the prince she'd met.
And when we went to work, she gave us all a kiss.
She was so full of kindness. Why, she made better folk of all of us.
From what you've said, she must have been very loved. But how did this happen to her?
A wicked queen was horribly jealous of our dear Snow White's beauty, so she used her evil magic to change into an old hag. Then she gave Snow White a poisoned apple.
And by the time we got here, well, it was just too late. We found the princess as still as can be. Nothing we could do would wake her.
Isn't there some way we can help her?
Well, not unless somebody craves the vessel. I'll braves the castle.
No, you fools can stay here doing nothing. I'm not afeard of going, not even to that witch's lair.
You'll never make it. The castle's supposed to be guarded by magic and crawling with monsters.
All right, then I'll go.
You will?
I will. Leave it to me.
Well, all right, my dear. We'd be much obliged.
One thing I kind of want to bring up, actually, I mean, it has admittedly been, like, over fucking, like, 23 years since I last saw the fucking movie, but how the hell did the dwarves find out about exactly what the evil queen's plan was to disguise herself, since they were pretty much gone at the time, and they probably would have only found Snow White in the aftermath? Whatever. Again, it's pretty much just a way of recapping the movie's storyline without really showing a lot of it, because, again, this is a PSP game, and even in and of itself, this is around about the point where Kingdom Hearts basically sort of only really gave a tacit sort of care about, you know, adapting the movie's plot whilst also throwing in, you know, the Kingdom Hearts original characters, and, yeah, some of it works a little bit better than others, but, yeah, this one is probably one of the more egregious examples of, let's just explain the story and then have Aqua go off and solve everybody's problems, because all she's there to clean up the problems of those naughty boys, Terra and Ventus. But I mean, to kind of go into a little bit of a point I had beforehand, like, I mean, Aqua being on the warpath and embodying her master's teachings with, you know, the Castle of Dreams. Yeah, it is something I found quite funny that the most studious Keyblade Master, you know, the one who's meant to be very much in tune with the light side, is also the one who's, you know, the most eager to destroy darkness at its heart by basically, you know, going, there's darkness here, I have to kill them, brandishes Keyblade and starts whacking things. Again, like, that is very much Erequus's mindset, and that is... Again, I think it does highlight a certain factor of Aqua's character where a lot of her personality was subsumed by her master's teachings, and... Again, one of my initial problems with Aqua's... with Aqua's character, so to speak, was that she very rarely gets a chance to really sort of flourish on her own. And, again, the moments you see of Aqua without, you know, Erequus's influence with her friends is when she, well, fittingly enough, gets to be feminine. I mean, you do see bits of that throughout the story. I mean, previously we saw when Aqua was trying on, you know, the glass slipper, but yeah, you very rarely get to see much of that. There is another level that does sort of point it out, but everywhere else it's, primarily her embodying Erequus's teachings regarding the Keyblade, light and darkness with a very fittingly black and white view on the whole thing. I don't know, I found it to be a bit more of an interesting character arc than I initially thought. I mean, but again, I suppose the fact that, again, this isn't exclusively Aqua's story, it also has to share, you know, work between Terra and Ventus, and don't worry, she does get things to do and a slice of tragedy in her own right, but where it goes from there is just, no curious, really. But anyway, as we continue with more violence and fighting, I think it's about time for some more trivia. And this one actually has something to do with Snow White's original voice actress, Adriana Casalotti. Yeah, this was a little bit of fucked up trivia, actually, because she actually had a strict contract with Disney that she was never allowed to take on another role again, that is to say film role, or make public appearances. I'm guessing, you know, media appearances to appear in films or whatever. And that was done primarily to give the illusion that Snow White was a real character. That's, what the fuck, Disney? I mean, I guess it's probably something that's not too dissimilar to, you know, stuff you'd see in, you know, Japanese idol culture even today, but at the same time, though, that is like an insane level of dedication to the fucking role that I'm quite curious as to, you know, some of the logistics of, actually, because I don't think people would really buy any of that shit. Then again, it was the 30s when this thing was a little bit more novel, but yeah, I don't know, that just seems like a really strict contract, and it makes me wonder why anybody would even dare go to it. I mean, especially considering how experimental Snow White was, you know, as an animation project at the time. I mean, I do have some more to say about that, but we also have an upcoming cutscene, so I'll save that until a little bit after that. But all I'm going to say for now is that eventually, despite a few issues with it, Adriana Castellotti did embrace her role by having her house designed like the Dwarf Cottage, and answering her phone calls with her answering machine responding in character. Which is quite sweet.
Is something wrong?
This castle, it's different somehow. And I can't find the princess or hear her beautiful voice. Was it all a dream?
Wait. You mean you know Snow White?
Oh, yes. We met once. It was a song that drew us together. Has something happened to the princess?
Yes, I'm afraid so. The Wicked Queen tricked her into eating a poisoned apple.
I must go to her. Where is she?
In the woods, guarded by 7 kind dwarfs.
I will find her. Perhaps there's a way I can help.
Oh yes, tally-ho, pip-pip and cheerio. Bland Prince, dude. I'm pretty sure they're all voiced by the exact same voice actor who shares the thing between Prince Humperdinck and Prince, what's-his-face from Cinderella and, I don't even think this prince in Snow White actually has a name. I seem to recall while doing research they initially planned to give him the name of Prince, Florian, I think, but that's neither here nor there in this case, because I never say it out loud, and, I don't know who voices him. Judging by the sound, I want to say James Arnold Taylor, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, this is a little bit of a cheat you can do. As I'm trying to demonstrate, I pretty much have much greater success going the other way, but yeah. If you want to get Fish and Faraga quite early on in the game, yeah, just abuse Aqua's floaty jump ability to rise up here, then use one of your dash abilities, and bada bing, you will in fact do a thing and get Fish and Faraga from that treasure chest. Very useful quite early on in the game, but yeah, it's primarily there for command melding purposes, which again is going to be immensely useful because it also means that I get to show off a lot of Aqua's special magic abilities, which we won't quite be seeing early game, but I will definitely be showing off the command melding aspects of that, and in turn, well, just how much magical power that Aqua gets to play with exclusively. And I suppose to sort of reiterate a bit of commentary that I might have already talked about beforehand in Ventus' story, but hey, refresher course. Yeah, characters do have different abilities, like, I mean, not just in terms of what their finishes, like, you know, Fartmosphere or whatever, but again, like, characters will have certain abilities, like, Aqua won't get, you know, Salvation or Faith or whatever, which is what Ventus had with his Heart of Pure Light, and likewise, Terra will also have some of his own exclusive abilities that, you know, Aqua or Ventus won't be able to access. So, to that extent, it does give these characters at least something unique to play with, but the biggest problem with that is, a lot of that is also down to the command melding system, whereas, and again, this might have gone against the grain in terms of how they designed the combat system with the command deck and everything, but I feel like maybe giving a lot of the characters exclusive abilities as upgrades to get across the story would have been preferable, because at the very least in that sense you wouldn't be wasting time command melding and grinding for it, because that's just adding unnecessary busy work to abilities that, well, to be honest, that a lot of players, again, unless of course they're invested in command melding and, you know, actively want to utilize the character's own unique selling points, they won't get to use those abilities, which, again, is one of my biggest criticisms about Birth by Sleep and its grindiness, and one of the complaints I have about the command deck system in general. I mean, comparing this to Dream Drop Distance, I can say that it at least doesn't revolve itself around, you know, the Dream Eaters or whatever, but at the same time, though, it's still very grindy, busy work that's just irritating, really. Anyway, that's enough complaining about Birth by Sleep. I did promise I'd try and cut down on that, but that queashed. So I suppose I might as well continue on with my previous tangent about, yeah, Disney taking a risk in Snow White, because while they were successful with animated shorts, Walt Disney was a bit of a crafty bastard. He did take an extreme risk with Snow White that could have potentially bankrupted the company, which, again, is absolutely fucking crazy given the fucking, you know, corporate media powerhouse that Disney is today. I mean, not even including stuff in animation, but with how many companies they bought out and franchises that they've continued to ruin time and time again. But yeah, part of the reason why this was such a risk was because, not just because of the financial stuff involved, but also because of the difficulty in animating more complex human models, as well as learning animation techniques that simply hadn't been done before. And again, when you look at Snow White's animation, like, I mean, putting aside, you know, the acting quality or the sound or whatever, again, in terms of a lot of its animation, it is very fluid, and again, that's one of the earliest times that something like that had ever really been done. I'm sure there might have been precursors to that, but never anything on Snow White's scale, and certainly nothing anywhere near as successful, so... I mean, say what you will about Disney for a company that plays everything safe and is all for the family and the kids and whatever, but again, it just goes to show that, again, when you take those sorts of creative risks, sometimes it can lead to fruitful endeavors, or, well, sometimes it'll just lead to your downfall. Guess it really just sort of depends. Oh no! Oh, bubbles do actually reach! Haha, take that! Oh no, blowback. Yeah, but yes, this dungeon area will... you'll probably be getting the most mileage out of it as Terra and Aqua, really, but... yeah. I mean, it is fittingly macabre. I mean, you do have a few skeletons around here, so that does indicate that people have in fact died in here, regardless of how cartoony the skeletons may look, so... there is that, I suppose. Yeah, see? Somebody died in here. And there's no there's no fucking way about it. People are dead. This isn't some macabre decor that the Queen decided to have in here, so... yeah. Pretty freaking creepy. Anyway, to also add to the creep factor, here's a little fun fact for you. In Norway, during the German occupation of World War II, yeah, there was actually a recovery of Snow White fan art that was found. And you wanna know who it was drawn by? Adolf Hitler. Yes, indeedy, there was actual Snow White fan art drawn by Adolf Hitler, which goes to show that one of the most monstrous dictators in human history was basically the equivalent of a pissed-off deviant artist. Just think about that for a moment, because that is... I really don't know what to say. This is also Fartmosphere, except Aqua's doing it. Except it doesn't have the white glowy screen nuke effect. Jesus Christ, I can't fucking believe that Adolf Hitler drew fucking fan art. Let me guess. I know I really shouldn't be laughing about that, but there's just something... there's just something so human and comical about, like, a monstrous figure from history just drawing fan art, although... I mean, it is apropos to say that, I mean, Hitler was, believe it or not, actually a fan of Disney movies, so... I really don't know what to tell you in that aspect. And I mean, even then, there is also a lot of uncomfortable history about some anti-Semitic behavior from Walt Disney himself, so... who knows? All I'm really gonna say is, with a rather dark joke, are the Jews gone? No, then put me back in the tube. Oh god, I'm such a hack. But anyway, we also have Spellweaver. I believe you can get me through the night. Of Adolf Hitler drawing Snow White fan art. Yeah, well. I wonder what Adolf Hitler's favourite Disney movie was. I mean, if it was Snow White, then I mean, I suppose I wouldn't be surprised, because, I mean, the original Snow White fable is, German, I suppose, but... I don't know, I guess... maybe he was just a big fan of animation. Well, then again, even in terms of historical stuff, I mean, Hitler was, in fact, an art student beforehand, so... you know, maybe if you went down that path rather than anything else, we would have been talking about a very different history. But yeah, in terms of slight puzzle mechanics, this is also where you get to use fire to activate yet another chemical bubble reaction sugar-me-doo, boost yourself up there, get some more treasure chests, fight a few more unversed. Bada bing, we do a thing, and can finally shuffle off from this evil Adolf Hitler topic. And Mind Square is also putting in work, and is actually one of the more useful abilities. There is actually some variations of it. Again, you also have Mind Shield, which also pretty much surrounds the character. There is also, I can't quite remember the name of it. It's like a homing mines, which pretty much, like, you summon Mind Shield and they also home in on enemies, which isn't quite as useful, depending on the range, but... yeah, that's neither here nor there in this case. Anyway, apart from, you know, treasure chests and a few puzzle pieces, we're pretty much done here. If I have anything left to say about this area, I'll expunge it when we get around to Terra's story, but... In the meantime though, Aqua, being on the warpath that she is pretty much here to have a bit of a belated boss fight that doesn't quite make as much sense as it should, although we'll see more when we get to Terra's story.
Something's not right.
Now, I can only assume that this is a residual effect of something we're going to be seeing in Terra's story, so I guess maybe that's the reason for the boss fight, but again, I'll save that for when we get to it. In the meantime, though, I guess I'll just talk about boss and enemy dynamics with, yes, the mirror spirit, with the comedy and tragedy mask thing. Yeah, what you want to be looking out for is the smiling mask. The mask will basically be more of an illusionary tactician. Again, he'll pretty much hide with multiple copies of his mirrored face. But again, if you knock him onto the ground like that, use attacks like Leaky Dyke and ranged attacks like, you know, Fire, Blizzard, or whatever else. Basically, any spell that homes in or is pretty much a guaranteed hit, like Thunder or whatever. That's pretty much the sort of spells that you want to be using here. Apart from anything else, though, what you want to be looking for, especially in cases like this where he tries to fake you out, is look for the smiling mask where he's like,
Oh, yes, Aqua. Yes, I'm a mirror mask. I'm smiling at you.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing you want to do. If you fail to hit him, I believe there's also like a bit of an instantaneous fuck you attack that he does, but I've never really let him get to that stage, so yes, let's burn this mask up, and that's pretty much Aqua's job done. We don't see the Queen, so fuck it, I guess.
The Queen is gone, my service done. Adieu, O victorious one.
Was there meant to be a boss fight against the evil Queen in this one? I'm not too sure. I'm trying to think back to the movie. I think there was a thing where she turned into a dragon, but I might be confusing that with Sleeping Beauty because, you know, because of the whole Maleficent deal, but I don't know, I seem to recall in the original Snow White movie there was like a battle scene between Prince Florian and the evil queen using like magical powers or whatever. I don't know. Again, been absolutely fucking donkey's years since I last seen it, and oh no, Snow White is dead. Even killing the evil mask won't bring her back to life. Well, I mean, except for kissing a corpse. Or was that just sort of meant to be a chaste, goodbye, my sweet princess, may a flight of angels sing thee to thy rest? Whatever. Sad scene. A blue, blue, blue.
Princess! That's so sweet. It's just like a miracle.
Ah, flashback. Oh my god, Ventus was a princess the whole time.
Ventus, why won't you wake up? You're awake! Ventus! Oh, it's a miracle! Terra! Master Ericus! Ventus is awake!
Oh, whimsy! A smooch. Fare thee well. Oh yes, and another smooch. For the grouchy little bitch. Oh yes, combo. Smooch, smooch, smooch. Triple absolute smooching combo. Oh, for the little special boy, he gets the wiggly ear kiss. Well, ta-ta all, I'm going to live a life of luxury. Enjoy living in squalor, motherfuckers.
Every waking is a new journey. Maybe Vent left because it was his time.
And despite being understanding about Ventus leaving in this scene, she pretty much immediately goes back to, no, Ventus, you need to go home. You have to go home, because the master said so. Which, I mean, kind of makes this whole ending point of the Dwarf Woodlands out of place, really, but whatever. I'll save my piece on that for later on. So, next time on Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, we head off to the Enchanted Dominion. Catch you next time.